guys, how's it going? Super B 1996 here, and today I've got a different video which has nothing to do with anything else on the channel, but it's to do with my game Rising Phoenix 4. Now, I want you guys to get engaged with this. Now I've got 200 plus subscribers, I feel like I can talk to you guys and just let you in on the new game and stuff like that. So I want you all to kind of get caught up so you understand Rising Phoenix. So at the moment I'm going to tell you what Rising Phoenix is using crudely drawn drawings so you can get a general idea on what the series is about. So without any further ado, let's crack on. So let's just ask the most basic fundamental question here. What is Rising Phoenix? Rising Phoenix is a series of games which I started back in 2013. So far it's got 4 entries in the series, which is Rising Phoenix Episode 1, Episode 2, Rising Phoenix 2 and Rising Phoenix 3. And soon to be released, Rising Phoenix 3 Penultimate Edition. So Rising Phoenix games is it's a 2D adventure platformer game, I suppose, with Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts level of storytelling. Well, I've tried. But it is a game, it's a fantasy game as well. And so far, if you go and play the games I've already released, they're really primitive, especially 1 and 2. 3's a little bit better, but Rising Phoenix 4, I'm hoping will push the boat out even further and create the definitive Rising Phoenix experience. But yeah, that is it with Rising Phoenix. I'll leave all the links to all the games in the description if you so wish to play them. Now let's talk about the actual story and the game itself. Now, what is the story? The story is, it revolves around a young lad named George and his friends, well not his friends really, but it's a young lad named George who lives on a floating island which is called Corneria. Now, not a lot of people know it's a floating island because I haven't really pointed it out in the games, which is bad. But it is a floating island above another planet called Planet Oblivion at the moment. Now, Planet Oblivion is the main setting for Rising Phoenix 2. It's never pointed out, which is bad. But that is the main kind of setting for Rising Phoenix. Corneria has been in Episode 1 of Rising Phoenix and Rising Phoenix 3. Rising Phoenix Episode 2 and Rising Phoenix 2 were all set on Oblivion. Rising Phoenix 4 will be all on Corneria. It will explore, you will explore all of Corneria and stuff like that. Now let's talk about the story by game. So let's start off with Episode 1. Episode 1 starts off after a massive war which has just happened to young George, and George wakes up in a place called Windy Village, and there's no one about. Everyone's practically dead, kinda. George wakes up and he gets a message from his used-to-be friend Nexus to tell him to come to his castle right away. So this is what Episode 1 pretty much revolves around, George going ahead to reach the castle. Like I pointed out, there was a war previous to Episode 1 which hasn't really been told in depth yet, but will be in Rising Phoenix 4. Now the war was that devastating that it pretty much killed everyone, and it was a really big devastating blow, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Now once George gets to Nexus Castle, Nexus reveals his plans to blow up Corneria so he can get the power of the quote-unquote Phoenix. Now the power of the Phoenix allows someone to get abnormal powers, and pretty much the Phoenix is its own entity as well, which I'll go into in a bit. So once that's happened, Nexus decides to be a complete and utter knob and destroys Corneria, and Corneria falls to the planet below, which is Oblivion. Now this is where Episode 2 of Rising Phoenix kicks in. Episode 2 sees George wake up after surviving, luckily, the fall of Corneria, and at this point the aim is for George is nothing. He just goes forward and the game ends with that, basically. Episode 2 just allows George to explore and see, kind of figure out where he is and what he's doing, basically. Now, Rise of Phoenix 2 happens, and Rise of Phoenix 2 is set after the events of Episode 2. I think I said Rise of Phoenix 2. Rise of Phoenix 2 is set a year after Episode 2. At the moment, the current events that happened between Episode 2 and Rise of Phoenix 2 is unknown. Maybe that's something that will get visited at some point in the future. Now, George is walking along and he finds a castle called Castle Monochrome. Now, this is a castle that he was called to. Now, if you can't tell, this was heavily inspired by Kingdom Hearts, because I like the chain of memories concept of walking into a castle and crap gets messed up. But he realises that Nexus is on top of this castle waiting for him. George thinks it was going to be easy, so he just walks into the castle and climbs up as usual. In 2, he's got a new outfit. It's not explained how he got this outfit, but maybe it might be in the future. Now, he walked into this castle, which is a black and white castle, as monochrome stands for black and white. And every time he opens up a new door to get to a new floor, he has to go through a new area, if that makes sense. So every time he walks through a door, he winds up in a completely different place. And he has to get to the end of that place where there'll be another door that he can walk in to get back into the castle. So that's basically it. And these areas were all set on the planet, so they could be revisited in the future. George finally gets to the top of the castle, and Nexus is quote unquote dying because dark powers have been used, and you later find out that the real villain of Rise of Phoenix isn't Nexus. It's a guy called Aaron Rock, who hadn't been introduced at this point. And Aaron Rock is an evil dictator whose aims is currently unknown. I think he just wants the powers of the Phoenix. So Nexus dies. That's what you think. But he dies at the end of Rise of Phoenix 2, and the game ends there. But it doesn't. A guy named Silver, who is currently unknown. We don't know much about him yet. He reveals that he has restored Corneria using the power of time travel, and all the people on it have been saved as well. So that pretty much restores that. Now, Rise of Phoenix 3 happens. Rise of Phoenix 3 happens sometime after Rise of Phoenix 2. It's either 6 months or a year, I think. And at this point, George has been back on Corneria for a while, and he's just been helping rebuild it and rebuild the people that live there and stuff like that. He has got a new outfit again, and it's basically an upgraded version of his Rise of Phoenix 2 outfit. Now, the significance of this outfit is still unknown, but George was walking through this area called Tranquil Forest, where he stumbles upon a guy who looks exactly like him, and he is later revealed to be called Flare. Now, Flare is known as a gatherer. Now, in Rise of Phoenix 3, the gatherers are a group of people who wish to just gather up information, forbidden information that the people of Corneria are hiding about the quote-unquote Phoenix, which is something that will be deeply explored in Rise of Phoenix 4. The gatherers try and stop George. It is later revealed that the gatherers are revealed to be, or their leader is revealed to be Aaron Rock. But yeah, George travels and travels, he battles gatherers, he tries to find this Flare guy, and later he stumbles upon Nexus again. Now, Nexus survived somehow, and the dark powers that once possessed him, which was all done by Aaron Rock, have worn off, basically, and Nexus offers his help to George. George willingly accepts, even though of all the crap that's happened. They make their way to Castle Grey. Now, Castle Grey is the castle that was in Episode 1, which was Nexus's castle, but Castle Grey is a remade and rebuilt version of that same castle. This is where the gatherers stay. George finally confronts Aaron Rock, and it's later revealed that George already knows Aaron Rock through like some past events and stuff like that, and he asked him the whereabouts of his father, King Stephen, that's it, King Stephen is an ongoing mystery in Rise of Phoenix, as it's George's father, but King Stephen hasn't been seen at all. And this will be a recurring theme in 4, in Rise of Phoenix 4, where you will actually find King Stephen, but I won't go into that just yet. And the game's final level is set in a place called the Void, which is an empty void, where George chases after Aaron Rock. And then something bad happens, and Aaron Rock uses the power of the Phoenix, which he has stolen. He did get the power of the Phoenix, and took over George's body, which is a power the Phoenix can do. Now, the Phoenix can turn into its own being, and it did. That's what Flare was. Flare was the Phoenix in human form. It was created at some point during Rise of Phoenix Episode 2, after the Corneria fell, as it wasn't a complete failure. But it takes on the appearance of the person it was linked to. And it was linked to George, so that's why he looked like George. But he started developing his own being. And this sounds very familiar to a previous, or to a game series that already exists. I told you it took inspiration. But George defeats Flare. He pretty much kills him. And that's what Aaron Rock wanted. The powers of the Phoenix were within Flare, so Flare needed to be destroyed for Aaron Rock to get the powers of the Phoenix. Now, Aaron Rock is dying. Well, not dying, he's just tired of his old body, and he wants knowledge. And George's head has that knowledge. So that's why he decided to take on George's body. So not only can he have a new body, but he can get the knowledge that he so seeks. And that's where Rise of Phoenix 4 concluded. Now, Rise of Phoenix 4, Rise of Phoenix 3 concluded, sorry. Now, if you look at some promotional art I've left on my development page, Rise of Phoenix 4, it has been revealed that George is a playable character. So don't worry, George won't be possessed by Aaron Rock for long. But I can't share any Rise of Phoenix 4 details with you at this current time. That's pretty much it with the story of Rise of Phoenix. Hopefully it wasn't too convoluted. If you've got any questions about the story of the previous game so far, let me know in the comments. Or if you've got any questions about Rise of Phoenix in general, let me know. Check out Penultimate Edition, because that has new story details in it, and story stuff that links to Rise of Phoenix 4. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my Rise of Phoenix video. I hope you guys are interested in my series. It is forever evolving. Rise of Phoenix 4 is coming along really nicely at the moment. It is a massive step up. For those who don't know, the previous Rise of Phoenix games were developed using an engine called Stencil. And Rise of Phoenix 4 is developed using Unity, which is a more powerful engine. So I'm able to do a lot more. And now I have more knowledge on coding and how to do this kind of stuff. It's letting me create a really good experience. So there will be more news on Rise of Phoenix 4 soon. And you've got the trailer coming on the 25th. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is just me talking about Rise of Phoenix 4 plainly. If you guys want to see this again at some point in the future, let me know in the comments. Yeah, any questions about the story, let me know. And I'll speak to you guys later on.